Hey everybody, welcome to the Huddle. It's good to spend some time with you. We're here in store 100 in Bentonville, Arkansas, and I'm with John Laney, who leads our entire food team, which is going to be great to talk to John today. But this is always a special place for me to be. This is a store I started in with Walmart almost 30 years ago over in the garden center, so the opposite end of this building. So it's always great to be back in here. But John, first, a little bit about you. You grew up pretty close to here, right?
Yeah, I did. I actually grew up in Northwest Arkansas. There's not too many of us around here anymore that grew up that way. But I grew up in Prairie Grove, Arkansas, which is about 45 minutes south of here, and started working here at Walmart whenever I was 20. So I've been with the company my entire career.
Yeah, me too. As you said, there aren't too many of us from here because so many people have moved here in the last 20, 30 years. Just an amazing transformation of the area. Well, first I want to talk to you about what you do at Walmart and how you got there. Your path has been a really interesting one. You've been in this job leading the entire food business now just a few months and right at a really critical part of the year.
Yeah, well, like I said, I started with the company whenever I was 20, and I actually started in food merchandising. So I've spent my entire career in food merchandising, with just a little bit of time not in that space. But I actually started in seasonal candy. I was the buyer's assistant in seasonal candy. I started writing POs and doing line reviews and all the things that we talk about in merchandising. And so I've been able to grow from kind of ground up into this position. And obviously what an honor it is to lead this business. Such an important part of our experience with the customer.
So let's talk about the holiday. We're going to talk about Thanksgiving, which we just completed here in a second. But is there anything interesting, like a fun fact that you want people to know about the Walmart food business in the holiday time?
Yeah, with the size of our food business, there's a ton of fun facts. We could literally do this all day long. But one of the ones that every time I say it out loud just kind of mind numbs myself, if that makes sense, is the idea that we have 900 million dozens of eggs that go out our store every year. And about 200 million of those happen during the holiday season.
So 200 million dozens, that's about 2.5 billion eggs.
It's a whole lot. I'm not that good at that type of math.
So you're probably pretty nervous about a week before the holiday, thinking about how you're going to get us all through. Is it going to be there in time? Are customers going to be happy?
Yeah. Well, our merchant team spends their entire 6-8 weeks ahead of these big holidays to make sure that we position the stores for success. And now we're working on their Christmas season. And as you can imagine, it's dotting every I and crossing every T across the whole supply chain to make sure that our stores and site is ready for the season.
So as a merchant in one of those categories, probably a lot of people don't know how much time you spend in advance preparing. Thanksgiving just ended. You're probably already working on next year. And
yes.
To think about the plans.
We, immediately the day after Thanksgiving, we came in and had a COE meeting, a correction of errors, to talk about the things that we would do differently and start making those adjustments in our plans for the next year, all the way from the supply chain into the way we buy items, the price points that we have, and all those type things. So we'll start working on it immediately. We have kind of 6 months where we make those corrections of errors, and we get really hardcore into the planning of the season ahead.
Right, so you have to have a bit of a crystal ball informed by math to figure out where things are going. So now one of the things that happened in this last year is we saw a lot of inflation in food, which was not necessarily the case this time last year. It was low single digits. It just started. What's it like when you see things like that?
Well, I mean, it came and it came fast. That was unique about this round of inflation. Most of us in our merchandising careers haven't lived through but maybe one or two similar events. And for me, it was just really one. And the thing that stood out about this one was how fast it came, and it really impacted our customers. You could see their spending habits change, the way they purchased, the way they thought about our private brands and price points and all those things. And so as we got into the holiday season, we wanted to plan to make sure that we were positioning ourselves to be relevant for what the customer's looking for. And what they're really looking for is value, which is why we designed the holiday basket program that the stores have been executing so well. It's an approach that we can take that really, really resonates by stripping out some of that inflation that's in the business.
So early in October, you and Charles Redfield and others started talking about selling the Thanksgiving meal at last year's price, which is what you did. And that's the basket that's here in front of us. So, what was the inspiration for that? And just tell us a bit about the basket.
Yeah, sure. So the idea behind the basket was we know customers shop two ways. You got the scratch cooker and a convenience cooker for the holiday meals. When I say convenience, think about cranberry sauce versus actually making cranberry sauce, if that makes sense. So we designed two baskets, and the goal was to strip out the inflation so that we could say year over year our price points are the same. And so we worked at that basket level across those two things and worked on doing that over the course of the last few months. And thankfully, with your support and many others, we've been able to execute against it. And it's led to an incredible amount of success for the Thanksgiving season. We get to continue to carry it through the holidays. But even within it, there's some awesome items with awesome value. This one right here, this great value canned vegetable. The magic price point in this category is 50 cents. And we were able to take this price point down to 50 cents. And our units are just flying off the shelf. And things like that have made a real difference for our customers and has helped us build, a successful holiday season.
Sure has. And thinking about customers and what you and the team do a nice job is putting yourself in the place of what real people are going through. And so the decision to invest in the margins to get the prices to last year was an important one. And it's not even an easy one because, we all have pressure to perform in the short term and the long term, but investing in customers it's just such an important thing to do. Within the basket, and we went through the list of items, every item in here was clearly a Thanksgiving item. So a lot of integrity in the work that went in behind this.
Yep.
What's your favorite one, and what stories can you tell about Thanksgiving at your house?
Yeah, sure. It covers the entire meal. So we got from desserts to the sides to the turkey and the ham, everything's covered in the basket program we put together. So it's all inclusive. I'm a big fan of this category. It was, by the way, one of my first buying categories.
Yeah.
And so I have a special passion for my heart on canned vegetables. Growing up, I got a big family. I grew up in a big family. I have seven siblings, and then I have 8 kids myself. And so Christmas and Thanksgiving, as you can imagine, it's chaotic. It always has been. It always will be for me. That's the way we like it. That's how the Laneys do it, and we don't like it any other way.
So I think probably you can't take care of a meal for 7 kids, or in your case, 8 kids with a turkey or a can of whole kernel corn. You're going to need more than that, right?
Yeah, it's funny how you're raised and how you raise your kids and the things that you do different. When me growing up,
I have 4 kids, so I don't know how to raise 8.
Well,
you're in a space all your own.
It's times 2, so okay, imagine that, okay. 4 times 2.
Yeah. That just means another set of kids who won't do what I tell them, but okay.
Yeah, that's true. Well, growing up, it was you eat what's on the table. That was how I was raised, and we're a little softer than my parents were, and so that microwave's always running. And it's funny because we'll have a turkey and ham and have this delicious meal, and then we got a kid cooking ramen noodles, and it just is what it is, And so Thanksgiving doesn't look necessarily like a traditional meal always in our house, but that's part of having 8 picky eaters.
It's part of the fun. Yeah. So what's your favorite way to make a turkey?
I smoked one this year.
Okay.
I have a Traeger, and I smoked one this year, and I was really excited about how it turned out. It turned out really, really good, and I got full support from my family to do it again next year, so I think I found what works for me.
It takes a while, right?
Yeah, it was about 18 hours.
18 hours. So clearly one of the things that you'll learn about John is he's very patient, which is helpful when you have 8 kids. You have to be very patient. Yeah. So an 18-hour process. I'm just glad you didn't say you used the turkey fryer inside the house.
No doubt.
Talk about Christmas with 8 kids in the house, or 7 when you were growing up. What do you do for Christmas?
Yeah, well, it's changing, of course, as my kids grow up. One of the things that I always remember whenever my kids were young was, I call it dad fingers, where you spent the entire morning opening packages with a little screwdriver, putting batteries and everything. And at the end of the day, the tips of my fingers are sore. And so dad fingers is what I remember whenever I think about my family on Christmas morning. It's one of the joys of it. I literally will get a trash bag and a pack of batteries and a screwdriver and just go sit down and let the kids just line up and bring me things that they want to prioritize and put together.
That's funny. And anything for the meal that stands out for you and your family?
You know what? The Christmas meal, we usually go relatively untraditional. We like to do something a little different. At this point, we've had Thanksgiving 2 or 3 times. And so we like to make sure that the Christmas meal feels a little bit different. We're a little bit casual. Maybe the thing that stands out is we prioritize a breakfast. And so we actually do a really big Christmas breakfast more than a big Christmas dinner. It's one of the things that makes our food business so great during the holidays is it's not just one meal. It's actually a whole sequence of meals because you got so many house guests and other things that are in the house. And breakfast is one of those categories that really stands out.
John, thanks for coming over. It's a really important time of year. As you can tell about John, he's into the details and loves connecting dots and thinking about how you bring the business environment, the customer environment all together on behalf of the company. So I'm really grateful for what you do. And for everyone that took time to listen, just thanks for tuning in, and happy holidays to you and your families. And I wish you the very best. Thanks a lot.